Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start by mentioning that this session is being recorded. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this joint workshop between the Trustfood and the Dedep.Eu projects. Today, we have gathered to discuss a crucial aspect of EU funded initiatives, maximizing impact through effective communication, dissemination, and SME engagement. In an era of digital transformation, advanced digital skills and blockchain technology are reshaping industries, especially in the food supply chain. Through Trustfood, we aim to empower SMEs with the knowledge and tools needed to integrate blockchain technology for trust, transparency, and efficiency in the agri-food sector. At the same time, the Dedep.Eu project contributes significantly to enhancing digital dissemination strategies, ensuring that the results of EU projects reach the right stakeholders and create lasting impact. Today's sessions will provide us with insights into challenges and strategies for engaging SMEs, best practices in communication and dissemination, and interactive discussions on how to foster collaboration for greater impact. We are honored to have an excellent lineup of experts joining us today. We have Christian Salis from the Leeds 2030 project, who will share insights on how digital skills can strengthen SME participation in EU initiatives. Christian is a consultant for tech policy and skills at BlueSpecs, a strategic advisory firm that operates at the nexus of advanced technology development, business, and policy. He is part of the coordinating team of Leeds 2030 and manager of the work package for advanced digital skills cluster coordination. Angeliki Milioti from Smart Agro Hub, leading the Trustfood communication and dissemination work package, who will discuss the challenges and strategies for SME engagement in EU projects. Angeliki is an agronomist and works as dissemination, exploitation, and communication manager of European agri-food research projects at Smart Agro Hub, which is a spin-off of the Agricultural University of Athens. Nicholas Ferguson is a senior manager at Trust IT Services and coordinator of the Dedep.Eu project, a pragmatic cross-cutting project supporting the Digital Europe program in the dissemination and exploitation activities. He is the coordinator of HS Booster.eu, European Commission Standardization Booster Service, and currently coordinates Cyberstand.eu. Nicholas also leads the dissemination modules for the European Commission's Horizon Results Booster. We will also have an interactive session where we will exchange ideas, share lessons learned, and discuss strategies to enhance SME participation in EU-funded initiatives. I encourage you all to actively participate and share your experiences. So let's get started with the first session, the open session, and I welcome Christian Salis to open the event.
Thank you, Anastasia, for the invitation. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So as Anastasia mentioned, I'm Christian Salis. I'm a consultant on BlueSpecs and part of the coordinating team at Leeds by 2030. So before getting into the role of SMEs in advanced digital skills, let me just give you a very short introduction of our project. And apologies already to those of you who might have heard of this several times before. So Leeds by 2030 is the coordination and support action for the Advanced Digital Skills Cluster of the Digital Europe program, which is part of the strategic objective 4. And what we aim to do in this project is to enhance the benefits of investments made in this context by leveraging data, knowledge networks, and communities. Our ambition is to support the goal of achieving 20 million employed ICT specialists by 2030. In order to ensure global competitiveness, resilience, and prosperity for the European industry, doing so by equipping individuals with the required skills that companies need. So to do that, we work with the cluster projects very closely in order to facilitate collaborations, identify opportunities for synergies, and other joint actions. And a very good example of that is the Digital Europe program projects meeting that we had recently in Luxembourg, where the projects had the opportunity to engage in very rich discussions about main challenges that they face, including industry and SME engagement, And we have had very interesting insights and outcomes from that. So a little bit more about the activities that Leads 2030 organizes. We have continuous actions such as the subclusters, which are thematic project-led topic groups where they can discuss challenges. Currently, we have 2 of them set up for accreditation and the sustainability of funded initiatives. And a very important part of the discussion in those is already industry and SME engagement. Then we have a best practice repository, so an online library where all of you can view best practices submitted by the projects and other stakeholders, and also submit your own. And we will soon be developing an ads demo arena in order to promote further these best practices in TED Talk style format. Then in terms of annual actions, we have our colleagues in Trinity College Dublin have collected already a first round of data from the cluster projects and specifically their course and program offering. And we have been analyzing these so that very soon we can publish our advanced digital skills dashboard for any learners outside of the cluster to be able to find what is being offered. And we will soon, at the end of the year, be hosting the Advanced Digital Skills Summit, where projects will have dedicated slots, booths, and other opportunities to participate. Also, an Advanced Digital Skills State of Play report, summarizing all of our work on mapping the demand and supply of advanced digital skills, existing gaps, statistics, and expert insights that we gather throughout the year. So as I mentioned before, we have already a first batch of data from the projects, which we have slightly looked into. And we have seen that overall in the cluster, there are 205 participating corporations and SMEs, and that accounts for approximately 36% of all the organizations involved in the projects of the Advanced Digital Skills cluster. And then if you look at the breakdown by calls, you can see that they are actually a very big part of the consortia for the specialized master's programs and the short term as well. So what is the role exactly of SMEs in bridging the advanced digital skills gap? SMEs, as you probably know already from your initiatives, can be involved in several stages of the program design, development, delivery, and implementation. So they can be a very essential part of designing the contents and the curricula that learners will be trained on, because in the end, they will be using those learners to cover their own needs for their activities, in delivering programs, courses, and lectures, and also implementing advanced digital skills through work placements, internships, or by providing upskilling and reskilling opportunities to their own employees. And this is very important because reaching the advanced digital skills goal of 20 million ICT specialists by 2030 is not just about developing skills, but also preparing talent that is ready to be incorporated in the workforce and can actually implement those technology skills in their business operations. So SMEs are crucial in education and training programs to provide the flexibility that these programs need to understand and respond to evolving labor market needs, and to develop programs in an agile manner, which will enable them to basically use the skills that they develop and are needed now rather than outdated skills. And also creating conditions for anticipating further changes into the future. Then in terms of sustainability, SMEs and corporations can contribute to more effective cost models for the projects, and which is important for making sure that they can actually outlive the funding provided by the European Commission and the end of their contract. And also building a talent pipeline. So that relates to the quote that's at the top of the slide. Again, it's not just about creating advanced digital skills, but ensuring that there is a continuous and reliable flow of talent from either universities or other training sources that can be absorbed and taken up by the industry for increasing competitiveness. And finally, in terms of recognition, industry and SMEs can be important in accrediting courses or providing some sort of additional reputational value that will increase the relevance of the learning for students and also the companies themselves. And now we'll just very briefly mention some of the challenges that we have seen before, because I know the next session is gonna expand on those challenges. Engaging SMEs in developing advanced digital skills is not an easy task because of the very limited resources in terms of both funding, time, and personnel. A lack of understanding sometimes of their own required skill sets. So it's not very uncommon in small SMEs to not be exactly sure what skills they will need, perhaps in a 1, 2, 3 year time, in order to address the evolving technologies. And that it's again related to low digital readiness, a difficulty to integrate advanced digital skills into their business operations. So how do we go from planning about advanced digital skills into integrating them in what we do? And finally, employee retention, as it might be risky, providing funding, providing training in advanced digital skills for employees that you might not be able to retain afterwards. And with that, I'm finished with my presentation, and I will pass the floor back to Anastasia. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you very much. Um, I don't know if there are any questions for Christian. No. Thank you, Christian, for your participation today. Let's move on to Angeliki and session 1, challenges and strategies in engaging SMEs in EU initiatives. Angeliki, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Again, I am Angeliki Miliotti. I'm an agronomist at Smart Agro Hub and responsible for the dissemination, communication, and exploitation of agri-food research European projects. And my today's presentation will focus on the challenges and strategies in terms of engaging SMEs in EU initiatives. When I say engaging SMEs, I mean either by official beneficiaries or most commonly as just external contributors, let's say, to an already running EU initiative. The key topics for my today's presentation are these ones. We will start by mentioning the common barriers that SMEs find in participating in EU projects. Then we will pass to the practical solutions that we have in order to overcome these barriers. And after that, we will give a success story of an SME in the agri-food sector that managed to actually apply digital technology. And finally, we will refer to some lessons learned and best practices. I'm sure that during my today's presentation, you will find many common points with your experiences until today in terms of engaging SMEs. But I will be very happy at the end of my presentation to discuss your thoughts. So, as we all know, SMEs in Europe and of course worldwide play an important role in terms of innovation and economic growth. However, we observe very usually that despite the fact that there are numerous opportunities nowadays for an SME to participate in an EU initiative, the SMEs participation are very low because SMEs find it very difficult for different reasons that we will explain later to engage in EU-funded projects. So, as I said, we are going to begin with the barriers. And first of all, a main reason for which SMEs find it difficult to participate in EU initiatives is, of course, the lack of awareness and the information gaps. What does this mean in simple terms? This means that many SMEs don't even know that there are some EU initiatives for which they could be eligible, let's say, or in case they know that there are some running initiatives, actually they don't understand if they are relevant or no. So, in addition to this, some technical barriers and of course the complexity in funding applications makes them participation even harder. Second, we have the limited time and the limited resources. And of course, it is very usual and it makes sense that many SMEs have a limited financial support or even human resources. So this makes it even more difficult to engage in additional projects. Just think of an SME that has a specific number of employees just to take on the day-to-day tasks, and imagine the workload that they will have in case they participate in an EU project. So this is a very important reason to why SMEs don't participate in EU initiatives, because they think that if they are going to train someone from day zero and from level zero to make him or her able to take on tasks regarding EU projects, this will not have a quick payback, let's say, for them. So these reasons are discouraging. Then, of course, we have the complexity of the emerging technologies that are part of the EU initiatives, especially in Digital Europe, but of course in Horizon Europe projects as well. Imagine, for example, the technologies like blockchain and AI. They can seem very technical or even irrelevant to many SMEs. And next to that, of course, there is a lack of skilled employees in order to take on such projects. And of course, also we have the difficulty in sustaining engagement in case we are talking about the engagement of SMEs not as official beneficiaries, let's say, but as external contributors. Because even if we have an SME that joins an initiative, then it is very difficult to keep them engaged. This happens because of the reasons we mentioned earlier, the lack of time, the lack of resources, etc. And of course, the fact that the benefits are not immediate and are not that visible makes them hesitant. Last, we have the uneven contribution across project partners. This refers to the case that some SMEs have joined an EU initiative as official beneficiaries, but it is very commonly observed that there is a great variability in this SME's commitment during the project life cycle. And this happens again for many reasons. Maybe the goals of a project are not aligned with the SME's vision or the workload we mentioned earlier, and many more reasons. And now that we had an overview of the common barriers, let's pass to some practical solutions that can be adopted in order to increase this engagement. First of all, as it happens in everything that has to do with communication dissemination, it is very important to have targeted strategies. This means that in the case of SMEs, it's very important to create bonds and linkages with industry associations, because in this way we are going to build slowly our network, and of course to build trust and to make an SME give us some of their time, let's say. Once this bond is built, then it's very important to use tailored messaging, because in this way we will make very clear to a specific SME why it's important for them to join an initiative or to contribute somehow. Second, since we mentioned that there are some technologies that are not easy to be understood, it's very important to simplify the technical content. For example, in case we have some initiatives related to blockchain, in order to call some SMEs to join, it's very important to provide them material easy to understand, some infographics, some videos with very basic knowledge in order to engage them and keep them engaged actually throughout the whole life cycle. Third, in order to train and in order to cultivate this mentality to the SMEs, in order to keep participating in EU initiatives, it is very important to have some training approaches short and approaches that actually fit their busy schedule. Because in this case, we must adapt our schedules, let's say, in order to fit theirs and make it easier for them to join our initiatives. Four, it is very important to also use digital tools to engage them. We can use several interactive platforms, several social media campaigns, Q&A sessions, etc., etc. Then, in case we have some SMEs as official beneficiaries, in order to make their life easier, it is very important to clearly define the tasks that are allocated to them. It is very important to constantly monitor the KPIs in order to monitor their performance and support them whenever needed. And of course, we have to schedule regular meetings with them, discuss the issues that might create some problems, etc. And also, it is very important to develop some funding models that will make our cooperation, let's say, more sustainable. And of course, it is proven that if we engage other target groups as well, like policymakers, this gives an extra value to our initiatives and it makes it easier for SMEs to join. And now let's pass to a success story from a Greek SME that successfully implemented blockchain technology in their sector. And of course, we are talking about Rezos Branch. Rezos Branch is the coordinator of the Trustfood project, and it is a Greek food company. It is located in Patras, Greece, and it has successfully integrated blockchain technology into its supply chain throughout a system that is called Fedon. So, what is this blockchain ecosystem called Fedon? Very briefly, it was a system that was developed by Greek national funding in the 2020, and its main goal was to enhance transparency, traceability, and food safety. It is a fully decentralized system that uses DLT, distributed ledger technologies, edge computing, and Internet of Things. And why Rezos actually developed this system? Because there are many key benefits. First of all, as it happens in every blockchain system, especially in the agri-food supply chain, we enhance our transparency and trust. This means that we keep tamper-proof records, we reduce fraud, and as a result, we increase the consumer confidence. Also, we have fairer payments. The middlemen are eliminated. We ensure better financial return for our producers. Also, we achieve a reduction in food waste. Improved supply chain insights help us reduce food loss, which of course contributes to food sustainability and security. And also, in terms of regulatory compliance, these systems facilitate the adherence to food safety and traceability laws. However, there are some challenges. For example, there are some technical scalability concerns. There are some legal and regulatory frameworks that have to be taken into account. And of course, we have to ensure interoperability between the different stakeholders that participate in the supply chain. And lastly, let's see some lessons learned from our experience. First of all, a best practice for us in terms of SMEs engagement is to define clearly their roles and responsibilities. This will help us establish the accountability of these partners from the beginning, and we will eliminate the issues that will take place in the future. Second, we have to monitor and adjust our strategies continuously. As I said, regular meetings are very important in order to track progress, but also to improve and enhance the engagement. Third, leverage digital marketing and paid advertising. This means that targeted social media campaigns and generally marketing campaigns can enhance the SME's awareness and, as a result, their participation. And of course, as it happens in every communication dissemination case, adopting a multi-channel approach is very important. We have to combine several tools like online platforms, industry events, on-site events, direct outreach, in order to reach a diverse audience of SMEs. So this was from me. In case there are questions, feel free.
Thank you, Angeliki. Yes, please, if there are any questions. No, I don't see any questions. Thank you very much, Angeliki. And we can move on to the second session, effective communication, dissemination, and exploitation for your projects. And I will pass the floor to Nicholas so he can introduce his theme and present the topic. Nicholas.
Thank you very much. And hello, everyone. I'm just my screen. Can you tell me if you can see that in
Yes.
full? Okay,
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, great. So thank you very much, and thank you very much to the other two speakers who have already actually said a lot of the things that we are going to say in our session, but that's fine. A lot of really interesting background in terms of the needs of SMEs and the challenges that you face as a Trustfood project, or if there are other people from other projects with looking at advanced skills. And then, you know, the input we just had in those two last presentations are really, really interesting and highly relevant. So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Nick Ferguson, and I'm a senior manager at Trust IT Services, and I coordinate the Dedep project. Okay, so we'll give you a bit of an overview of the Dedep project in a moment. I'm joined by Gabriele Quattroocchi and Veronica Vuoto, who both work at Trust IT with me, and they also work on the Dedep project. So here we go then. So what we'll do in this next session is give you a quick overview of the Dedep project, okay, which is a coordination support action. Veronica, who was in Luxembourg just last week and was at the Leeds 2030 project, will give an overview of what she observed there in terms of some of the things which are interesting for our activities, and will probably validate a lot of the things which Christian mentioned too. Then we'll have an interactive session, and here we need everyone turned on, please, okay? So we'll be using mural boards for this, and Gabriela will lead these sessions. We want to know what works and what doesn't work, and engagement with SMEs, and then the question of why SMEs should engage with you. Okay, so I think we've got around 30 people on. I'd like to ask everybody to be turned on for that little stage. It'll last about 20 minutes. We want your input because this is important for us to understand how we can help Trustfood project and other projects. And this is also input that will feed into our recommendations and feed directly to the European Commission, who are also interested in the challenges being faced by projects funded under the digital program. So your input will not be lost. This is something we're going to report on, so you need to be active there, please. Then we'll talk a little bit about the pilots that we're going to run, and then we're going to sum up with some best practices and recommendations. Okay, so just a quick overview of the Dedep project. Dedep is a coordination support action funded in the digital program. We basically have teamed up, Trust IT have teamed up with Meta Group, who are experts in exploitation, and Trust IT, we're an SME, okay, so very relevant to this workshop. We're an SME based in Pisa in Italy, and we lead dissemination activities in a number of booster projects. So we team up with Meta Group a lot. We are two of the leading organizations in the booster, which provides support services and then dissemination and exploitation for Horizon Europe projects. And together we also provide these types of services to widening countries and also to entrepreneurs and spin-offs across Europe in another project. As Trust IT, we also deliver booster services and support services on the topic of standardization. So what are we doing in Dedep? We're basically piloting a similar type of booster service for the digital projects, okay? So projects which are taking services and solutions to the market, and in particular to SMEs to help them use new technologies in their everyday life and boost their productivity, okay? So this is an important part, and this workshop is an important part of us in terms of understanding needs and the challenges that the projects face. So back in November, when we had our first workshop, our project runs for 24 months, just go back. We're at, what are we at, month 6 or 7, aren't we? So my maths serves me right. So we're at a stage where we're getting ready and designing these booster services which will be deployed later in the project. So back in November 2024, we had our first webinar, and we asked the participants what the participants were from digital projects. What are the primary challenges that you face in ensuring effective exploitation and also dissemination of the topic, yeah? And the vast majority said engaging stakeholders and end users. And the vast majority of people also mentioned SMEs here. So this is something which is affecting all of the projects funded under the digital program. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll hand over to Veronica, who was at the workshop last week, which was led by the Leeds project, which Christian presented earlier, and some of her observations when she met. I think how many projects? 49 projects or something in this cluster. Yep. So over to you, Veronica.
Thank you, Nick. Hi, everyone. Good morning. So as Nick mentioned, I recently took part in the DEP project meeting in Luxembourg that was mentioned by Christian before, and as he pointed out, it was organized by the European Commission, HADIA, and the team of Leeds. It was a great experience, and today I would like to briefly share the main takeaways that we hope might be useful also in the context of our discussion today. One key area that was discussed was the challenges, of course, that are still blocking the progress in delivering effective advanced digital skills training. As you can see here from the slides, I summed up in some points. One common issue was fragmentation. So the fact that, for example, different countries, different institutions are moving at different speeds with little coordination. This makes, of course, hard to create a consistent messaging or joint initiatives. Accreditation was also another point, which was already mentioned before. Micro-credentials, for example, as well, are not yet widely recognized across borders, which makes it harder to communicate the value, of course, to the learners and the employers. There's also a mismatch with the market needs. Because, for example, many courses are too slow to adapt, or they're, for example, not aligned with the business, what businesses are looking for. This reinforces a perception that the training, for example, is not worth the time, or that's something that we probably might need to address through more effective dissemination or storytelling. Another challenge was the skills obsolescence, which means that what we promote today might be, for example, outdated already tomorrow. So we need to be with the time. We need to speed up with the time. This is also why the communication, the dissemination, might need to highlight the continuous learning and adaptability. And of course, the concept of trust was also came up several times because with so many options online, learners, for example, are unsure of who to trust. That's where, for example, the role of branding is important because it might showcase the quality, amplifying also the success stories. In this case, is very crucial. Lastly, there's also a major gap in diversity because, for example, it was mentioned several times the fact that women in tech, in ICT, are not very present, unfortunately. Less than 20% of ICT roles are held by women. So this is, of course, not just a gender issue, but it's also a missed opportunity to grow the talent pool. Nick, if you can move to the second slide. So what the projects and the academies need to do, I've summarized them in these key points. So first of all, as previously mentioned, is the agility. So the fact that we need the courses, mainly training institutions might need to offer short modular training that fits into real lives. From a dissemination perspective, this also means promoting, for example, formats that feel more accessible and more flexible. There's also a push to build a real education continuum. So not just the short-term projects, but also systems that can connect schools, universities, and lifelong learning. One major theme was also the need for a stronger industry links. So the communication here is not just external, but it's also about listening and co-creating. And I think it would be useful to bring, for example, employers into the channels and also this narrative. It's also important, as it was previously mentioned, about the certification, to need a clear message around certification in order, for example, to harmonize micro credentials and also to create recognition at the EU level. And finally, it's also important to create a supportive ecosystem. So this is not just about the courses, but also making it easier for people to move, to work and learn across the borders. And that's also here very important to have a better use of data. For the next slide, I highlighted some good news, let's say, because some progress is already happening, and we've heard before about the success stories. So what emerged from the meeting in Luxembourg is that, for example, new EU Digital Skills Academy are being launched, and this, for example, in key areas like AI, quantum, semiconductors, and even more. So this is a great step because they're built to be more responsive, inclusive, and connected. There's also a work underway on micro-credentials repositories, which will give us more consistencies and more tools to promote the recognized learning. There's also, for example, the Cybersecurity Skills Academy, which is a standout example of strong branding and collaboration. And also the digital skills and job platforms, which is quickly becoming a key communication hub. And it offers, for example, visibility, data, matchmaking, and projects like, for example, Trustfood or like projects like this one can contribute and can have an important role in this. And the last thing is that what the next steps might be. For example, it can be more agility, as we were saying before. So in order to aim to be more fast, more flexible, and more clear. Collaboration, of course, is an important key because it's not just within the projects, but also across sectors, across borders. And this means, for example, shared campaigns, cross-promotion, or collective branding efforts. And the trust, because as I was saying before, it is one of the key challenge. So it would be essential to be more transparent, to showcase the learner success, for example. And also another point is that to create with industry, to also be a co-create within industry. So not just delivering the content to them, but also build them with them. So maybe to create more collaboration with the industries. And finally, the talent mobility is also important, which might also solve, for example, the issue of fragmentation. So these were my key takeaways. I don't know if Christian maybe wants to add something else or if you have any questions. If not, I will pass the floor to Nico or Gabriele.
Thanks, Veronica. Christian, do you want to complement what Veronica has said, or we can go on?
No, I think it's a very good summary of all the challenges and also best practices, kind of good
Thanks.
practices that were discussed in the meeting. Thank you, Veronica.
Thanks everybody. Actually, all the speakers that set the scene. We heard about the challenges and potential solutions. Also, some success stories, which tell us what the projects, other projects has done, and what we actually are hearing from other experience. Now it's our turn instead to have a kind of interactive sessions with the participants in this workshop. I will share my screen, but you find in the chat box here a link to join our mural board. I hope that everybody can join us now. I will briefly explain the exercise that we are going to have today. So since we have here heard from the experience, general experience coming from the external, we would like to focus now on learning from each other, those who are attending these sessions, to understand what has worked and what hasn't in reaching SMEs from a dissemination and communication angle, to better understand how we can support and enhance our capacity to engage SMEs in digital projects, especially on how they can use the results that the digital projects have produced. So before we start, I would like to give you some tips on how to move around the mural board. It's quite easy. You can, I will summon you in the relevant part of the board that we are going to use, but in general you can use your right button of your mouse. You can just click on it and drag the board, so you can easily move yourself on the board. In order to zoom in or zoom out, you can use Control and you can press Control and use the mouse wheel and to zoom out and in. Or you can use your touchpad if you're using a laptop. It will be quite easy to do it. In order to contribute to the board, you can use the sticky notes that you find here. You can find several blank sticky notes. You can simply click on them, and using a Control D or Command D, if you're using a Mac, you can simply duplicate the sticky note and write on it. So as you can see here, we have a first exercise with a boat sailing across the sea. The board is divided into 4 quadrants. And we want to understand what has worked and what hasn't in the SME outreach. So in the top left corner, you find the blue sticky notes, which represent the wind in our sails. So we should answer to the questions: what has helped us move forward, what has been successful so far. So things that we can learn from for going ahead. In the lower part of the board, on the the bottom left of the board, there are the anchors holding us back. So what is dragging us down, what is preventing us from making any progress. And the color here is the pink. If we go up again, in the top right corner, you find the beacons on the horizon. So what milestones, which goals we would like to achieve in the long run, what exactly keeps us motivated to go on in our SME outreach strategy. And in the bottom right of the board, you find the barriers we see ahead. So what we will need to navigate around, where might we get stuck, what problems might get worse. At the same time, you will see some sticky notes which are already pre-filled with some examples. I hope that these examples can help you navigate these board. Feel free to ask me any questions if you have. I believe that we can set the timer at 8 minutes to complete this exercise. So I see that there are already some people populating the board. I'll say this again, the blue one represent the wind in our sails. So the things that we are deeming as a positive experience, the things that are helping us moving forward, or the things that are keeping us motivated towards the objectives. While on the right side of the board, you find in the upper part the beacons on the horizon, so the goals that we have set and we would like to achieve, and which are the purple sticky notes. In the lower part of the board, you find on the left the anchors, so the obstacles, the heavy weights which are dragging us down or preventing us from making progress. On the right side, you find the barriers, so what we see ahead which can hinder our path towards the achievements of the objectives. This is a quite interesting retrospective exercise, which can give us the sense of what we are currently doing and towards which direction we are moving. If there is some of you who has any hurdles in joining the mural board, just speak up. So we want to understand what has worked and what hasn't in outreaching SMEs. So for instance, it is important to set some long-term goal. The example that we provided is, for instance, partnering with SME associations. I see that there are already some users which are including their beacons. So what are their overarching objectives in the long run? So for instance, one beacon we see ahead of us is to make, for instance, 20, 30 SMEs using the training courses that we have developing. This can keep us motivated toward the end of the project, while the examples that we included in the barriers we see ahead as the late engagement in the project. So for instance, if we try to involve SMEs only in the final phase of the project, this can hinder our capacity to enhance the adoption of the results. And of course, this is not a good practice. But for instance, there might be other barriers we see ahead, which can give us a feeling of slowing down the activities, such as, for instance, we have already, we can say, for instance, hypothetically, we have launched a campaign of a series of webinars for engaging SMEs and guiding them throughout the project offering of products or services, and we have found that there is little or no engagement, and we do not really have a mitigation plan to address this issue. Or there might be societal or legal barriers or sudden technological shifts which can jeopardize the I don't know, training courses that you might develop because they might turn to be obsolete in a relatively short time frame. Okay, see, people are populating mainly the blue part, so the wind in our sails, and the anchors, so the obstacles that we are already experiencing. Don't see the benefits of the courses. Okay, this is interesting. SMEs usually do not reply to introductory emails. Yeah, this is a common barrier in marketing campaigns. Struggling in raising SMEs' interest and conveying appropriate message. That's another issue that might come up, especially at the beginning of the project implementation. Okay, time's up. I believe that we have gathered an interesting set of answers. So I would briefly go on to the next exercise, which probably is even more relevant for us in order to reflect on what we have just written down on the sticky notes. So let me summon you here. So 15 people are following me. Okay, I hope that all of you can see the this part of the board. So this exercise is on thinking from the perspective of an SME. At the center of this board, you find a persona, a user, which is the decision maker, especially the SME decision maker, who is typically the owner, the CEO, or a senior manager who often wears multiple hats. Their time is limited and they are mainly focused on practical and results-driven solutions. So what we would ask you to do here is to think as a SME decision maker. So basically, what and why should they care about buying your products or use your services? And the main questions that you should answer within these on this board are the following. What pain points are we solving for SMEs? And these answers should go in the upper parts of the board, while at the bottom, in the pink part, you will find this question. Uh, are we helping them grow the profits or innovate or cut costs? So basically, usually, SME decision makers move towards a service or a product and decide to buy them if they deem that these resources can grow their profits, they can help them innovate the process, or they can help cut business costs. So we have to try to fill their shoes and trying to interpret their vision from the angle of the product and services that we sell. So in the top part of the board, you will find this question: what pain points do you think that your services and products are solving for SMEs? And at the same time, if you think that these resources that you are providing can grow profits, innovate their process, or cut business costs. And you can answer this question in the bottom of the board. You will also find a couple of examples. So the first one in the green sticky notes is so we help SMEs identify potential funding and investment opportunities they may not be aware of. This can be one of the problems that your resources can help with. Or there are other two examples, especially in the lower part of the board, answering the question on if the resources that you provide grow their profits or cut their costs. So the example A is our project provides access to cybersecurity self-assessment tools tailored for SMEs with no in-house IT teams. This can be useful for SMEs because they basically can help save them money and resources. The example C, which is a bit bigger than I expected. It's on, so we offer free access to AI testing facilities. So these would be a service that would be otherwise expensive, too expensive for an SME. So this can also be regarded as an example. I would say that we can take around 5 minutes to complete this exercise. So take your time to think over the answers. Again, if you have any trouble with the mural board, just raise your hands or speak up. So always remember that we should try to think as an SME decision maker would do. So they have limited time and they are focused on practical solutions. So it would be really nice if we could come up with a couple of good insights from this exercise that we can build upon and follow up on, especially. I believe this exercise could be really useful also to refine existing um, engagement or outreach strategies your project has already designed and is implementing. I joined later, so sorry. Yes, I can drop again the link to the mural board in the chat box. Okay, Angelique, thanks. Just let me know if you have any troubles with the board. I hope that you can follow us quickly, as we have about 2 minutes to complete this exercise. There's no need to support the time's up. I don't know if we want to give some extra time to those who joined later on. I don't know if we have some time to do that, Anastasia.
Yes, we are ahead, so we can give a couple of extra minutes, I think.
Okay, thanks.
So, from the difference makes everybody a little bit happier.
So let's set the timer at 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Okay, well done. Thanks. Thanks everybody. Let's try to focus on what we have written down during this session. So I will turn over to my colleague Nick, who took a kind of a bird's eye view on the comments that you have added to the sticky notes in the previous exercise. So Nick, I don't know if you want to show your screen, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, maybe I can share, and then I can hand back to you.
Okay,
for
great.
the second part. Okay, so that was excellent, really nice. So thank you very much. I think we had about 20 people commenting at any one time, so that's brilliant. So I just wanted to highlight some of the things that you mentioned, and also, you know, if you're the person who wrote the sticky note, then please feel free to speak up. And Gabrielle, if you could mute as well, please, because we can hear Roberta in the background. Okay, right. So let's go. Let's zoom in on the first block. So the wind in our sails. Let's start positively. So there's plenty of nice things here, I thought. The first one was in terms of building on existing networks that you have. So if we look at Trustfood in particular, there's a lot of local networks probably that you have in the different countries that are represented. So regional and regional and local networks, which the partners in the project have. You also have SME associations in the consortium and European digital innovation hubs. So with those organizations, there's also a lot of personal relationships, I would imagine. And it's probably with SMEs who are not so keen on the type of consultancy speak interaction and are more likely to trust and engage with personal or even face-to-face relationships, then it's really important that as a consortium, you kind of leverage these local networks. And this seems to be something where you've got the wind in your sails. So it would be good if some of those things were also reflected on the right-hand side of the screen, okay? So reaching out to networks, existing networks, and the links with SME associations in particular. The other thing I noticed here was the engagement with the SMEs. So that's really important. So me, Gabriele and Veronica, we all work for an SME, okay? And you know, if there's not an opportunity to meet people for future business, then participation at an event or something is often questioned, okay? So, you know, being aware that, you know, time is resources and money is really important, and being sensitive to that as well. So giving an SME visibility at an event is really important. So getting them to speak or to give an expert opinion. And also the point about, you know, I mentioned the personalized nature of engagement with SMEs is really very, very important to do. Reaching out to SMEs using different channels is also important, and providing this point about the clear value for the participants. LinkedIn is a great way to scale up networks. So we talked about regional networks and local networks that you can build on, but then using those as a platform to scale up. And LinkedIn is a great way of doing this, because of course LinkedIn is based on personalized connections, etc. So SMEs tend to be really interested in referrals. So, you know, where you're able to refer to another SME, for example, or another experience where they've benefited, and this idea of short-term impact of the technology or the training material is very important. And then this point here, the flexible modular courses that allow employees to design their own schedule and learning path is also really key, because I think as Christian mentioned before, you know, SMEs struggle to get the training into their own work streams as well. So making sure they understand that this flexibility is there is really important, but at the same time, being able to communicate that is very important. Does anybody else want to add anything that I've perhaps missed, or anything which you think is worth highlighting more?
I think that was a very good summary. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's look at the anchors, so the things blocking, okay? And, you know, these are the other side of the coin, if you like, from some of the positives that we saw above. So they don't reply. So this is, you know, often a problem we all have. So, I mean, it's the same with Trust IT, and we do this a lot, you know, but often maybe we have an email campaign, and, you know, from 200 messages, then you get 2 replies, okay? Because things fall on deaf ears. But I think if you look at the other side of the coin above, there's a lot of positive things which need to be communicated to the SMEs, okay? Because if you look at this box, SMEs find it difficult to engage due to the points that Christina and Angelica mentioned about the lack of resources and the lack of time that they have. And in fact, you've got the struggling in raising SME interests and conveying appropriate messages. So this thing about translating what could be quite technical topics written by technical people and translating that into a language which is going to be quick and easy to understand for somebody working in SME. And then the other point is really being able to communicate what the short-term return on investment will be for the company if they take the time to and the effort to understand the the funding opportunity, the material which is available, and how is this going to change the way that the company works tomorrow, because there's a lot of mistrust in technology, mistrust especially in technologies the companies don't know, and it's a case of changing mindsets often to get the company to understand the training is going to be beneficial for them, and so that they can work this into their work streams. So making it clear what the benefits of the courses are is really important. And if we go to the wind in us, what's this one? The beacons on the horizon. That was it. Sorry, which I really like. There's massive amounts of training material already published on the Trustfood website and in many of the projects which are partnering with Trustfood, and it's really important to enhance how this is communicated, and the content should be communicated well and in an easy manner and not overly technical, perhaps. If you want, in that first messaging that you give to the SME, you don't want to be overly technical, because the person reading it could be the boss. Okay, the boss who, if you take our company, our boss isn't the person who understands the technology so much. It's the CTO who understands that. But she's the person who would pass the message on to the CTO. If she doesn't understand what's being talked about, then it'll get lost. Okay, so the success stories, I think, are really important. Okay, so how do you do this if you don't have many success stories in your consortium? So if your project hasn't produced any success stories, well, what you could do is ask all of the SME associations and digital innovation hubs for success stories that they may have in their communities. In this way, the SMEs get visibility themselves, and you're not reliant on producing the success story yourself. You can always, in dissemination, you don't have to be disseminating your own results all the time. Why not dip into the communities that the digital innovation hubs and the SMA associations have to get their different perspectives and personalized messages on the benefits, the quick wins, and the return on investment that the technology can bring. Okay, and then if we go to the perilous barriers that we see ahead, I think the main thing that I get here is time. So time's running out in the project. So it's always a race against time to get the material used. And we have these two boxes here: low interest, don't want to participate, lack of active engagement. But if you're able to to highlight the best practices and the success stories that you get from using the training and the experiences of the SMEs there, and you communicate this in a nice and easy to understand manner, leveraging the local networks that you've got and the personal relationships that you've got within the consortium, then you can I'm sure this can be achieved. So Gabriele, do you want to share the screen for the next one, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Nick. It was a really nice overview. I believe that most of the participants grasped the meaning of the exercise, as they did for the second one. So we do not have much time. I will focus briefly on the most significant comments that I viewed. The first question was on the pain points that we are solving for the SMEs. I believe that this one was really interesting. So we provide service of living lab, so testing bed for digital and other innovative technologies. So test before invest. This is already a good value proposition, or at least you can build on this message to build your community of SMEs around the project and the results that you are delivering. Another good one was this one, trusted source of candidates for open positions, internships, so less time spent, reduce cost. So this is really important for SMEs. And again, this is one of those messages that we would like to convey to the SMEs in order to build a community of them around the project, around the resources that we are providing to this specific target audience. So we do not have much time left. What I would like to tell you now is that this exercise are preliminary of all the dissemination and engagement strategies that we would like to get on board. Because they are crucial exercises to understand what the customers of your services, of your products, can think of. And by interpreting their needs, you can move to the potential actions that you can carry out for engaging them. But this exercise, it's something that we can foresee for another session, for another workshop, with the help of our partner in Trustfood. So I would, for the moment, I would just briefly turn over to my colleague Nick, who will tell you some interesting news for you on the pilot actions for dissemination and exploitation activities that we are going to carry out in Dedep project quite soon.
Okay, thank you, Gabriele. Can you see my screen okay? Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes,
So,
yes.
okay, great. So I'm not sure if there's any questions. I haven't seen any questions in the chat, and unfortunately, I've just gone on full screen, so I can't see the chat anymore. But what we'll do now is so yeah, are there any questions? Sorry. Speak up. Okay, so I don't think so, no, right?
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
see anything. You can
Okay.
proceed.
Okay, that's fine. Right, great. Okay, so thanks, Gabriele, for that overview. So, and again, yeah, thank you for the input. This is really interesting for us, at least, you know, and hopefully for you in terms of pulling things together. So that next step on actions is something we'd like to follow up on with you with a second workshop, and also in particular involve both leads. The Leeds cluster, or one of the clusters within Leeds. We'll speak to Christian about this, and also the Trustfood project as part of our pilots. Okay, so as part of the Dedep project, we are tasked to test dissemination and exploitation support services for digital program projects and policy officers. Okay, and this will be taking place from June onwards. We'll be launching the applications soon, so we'll have open applications, but also inviting projects that we were particularly interested. Okay, so both of these sorry, Leeds and Trustfood are ones that we'd like to invite to this, and basically it'll be about looking at current dissemination strategies, trying to enhance them, and giving recommendations on how to move forward, both for dissemination and also for exploitation. Okay, So if I just skip through, we've got lots of slides on this, but we don't need to cover them now. So let's look at some best practices. So this is the first thing that I wanted to highlight was a best practice that we heard in our very first webinar from Shift Labs. So Shift Labs is a digital innovation hub. And I know that I think there's two or three in the Trustfood project. But this was very interesting and really reflects a lot of the things that we've been hearing today in terms of the heterogeneity of SMEs, in terms of them being very busy, difficulty in understanding their own needs, the lack of resources, and the lack of also an understanding of new technologies and how they could benefit their work streams. So actually this first block on the top left is basically a carbon copy of what Christian presented, and Angelica. So, you know, lots of commonalities here that you've seen and also we've seen too. Now here with the Shift Labs project, Shift Labs network, they really relied on building on local connections. They're based in Sweden, I think near the Stockholm area, if I remember correctly. But they, really built on the regional digital innovation hubs in Sweden. And then their task was to then leverage this from an international and on an international basis as well. And it was very important for them to be able to communicate in simple messages what the technologies that they were proposing bring. And it was also very important to leverage the business networks and the face-to-face relationships that they had within their own network. Okay, so building on the networks you have, and also talking in a business language. Okay, so managing to translate what are often very technical content into a language, a business language that the companies will understand easily, so that they can identify their own needs with them. So in this case, to scale this up beyond Sweden, they used social media, in particular LinkedIn, as we said, which is based on relationships. And again, the right messaging, speaking in a business language, was something that they really highlighted. And this point about referrals, okay, so there's nothing better, you see it in advertising, there's nothing better than seeing your own peer promoting something and publicizing it. It makes you more likely to think, oh, I should be doing this as well. So using like the use case that Angelica mentioned earlier, using these use cases and getting the actual person from the company to present them at your events and bringing them along to your industry events so they speak and not you, I think is important. So really using this, an SME leader, an SME CEO of an SME to talk to other CEOs of an SME is really important. So there were lots of things that we learned from the Shift Labs project here. See that we have a question from
yes, from Peter Nell.
Peter Nell.
Hi, Peter from Wageningen University. Sorry, I joined a bit late because of education, but anyhow, very interesting. I was wondering because could you give an example of how this Shift Lab example could be translated, let's say, to the Trustfood project? Because in our project, we developed lots of courses. We did not engage, let's say, SMEs from the start and ask them, what kind of knowledge do you need or something? So we developed it in the best of our competences and knowledge about them. But so could you give an example of to make to get a better understanding of what we could do in the context of the Trustfood project? Because you give this example of Shift Lab, but I find it difficult to see what does it mean for Trustfood. That's my question.
Okay, so for Trustfood, I think the most important thing that I see looking at the consortium is the number of networks and digital innovation hubs and associations that you have in the consortium, okay? You've got the technology partners who have created I imagine the technology partners and the universities that have created the material, okay? Which is fantastic and has been, as you said, it's been created and written with the best intentions, okay? And in a way which, you know, in a way which will benefit an SME, because that's your target, okay? So I think that what you probably really need is for the associations and the innovation hubs to take responsibility and to identify who in their local networks would benefit from this, and go and ring them up, go and contact them directly, okay? And you just need a couple of people who use the courses, okay? And what you have to, I would say, you know, really identify people that would benefit and push them into the courses as much as possible. You need, I saw on the website, I could only find, one success story of blockchain technology being used for the benefit of an SME. I think you probably need, you know, one from each region or one from each country where you've got these networks. And it's those partners who should be really active now, because you're at the dissemination stage. You're trying to disseminate all of this great material you've got and get SMEs to use it. A good way of doing this could be at local events. So going to, I think Croatia is one of the countries where you've got an association or a digital innovation hub, going there and going into a company and doing the, you know, delivering the training, for example, directly to them. I think one of the things that companies really want to see is what the return on investment is, the short-term return on investment. They're not interested in what the impact's going to be in 5 years' time. They want to know what the impact's going to be in 6 months' time. So what, you know, if they, because they're basically, you know, in a small company, they're going to be taking, I don't know how many members of staff to follow your training, which means that the members of staff are not working on what they're conceivably supposed to be working on, but they're doing something on, they're going to be being trained on something which is going to be transformative and has a big question mark in terms of what the benefits for the company will be. So the more cases or examples you can bring, real examples where you've got, you know, Mrs. Smith, who is the CEO of, you know, SMEX, who has now been able to streamline her productivity in the company, which has meant that she's been able to get more customers, and was understanding how much money as well they've eventually made. It's that the SMEs are interested in, how much financial gain can I get? Because
can I?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, because this is very clear, that also the benefits for the SMEs should be communicated through their network, through the focal points. But if you look to, let's say, what we did, we developed the online courses, and they are, in principle, they aim to enhance the knowledge and understanding, which not immediately translate to, I would say, economic benefits. So that's always a bit, and that makes it, I think, for Trustfood particularly a challenge, because you can give training, let's say, to small and medium enterprises, or we try to do it for a broader audience and SMEs. But yeah, that's 2 days or something, and yeah, in 2 days you cannot change, let's say, so in 2
No.
days it's impossible to train them how to implement blockchain and things like that. So we also must be a bit realistic. There's always enhancing knowledge doesn't means changing behavior. So
yeah, so and I understand it's a difficult thing to communicate, but I think one of the things could be to quite simple things. So collecting testimonials, okay. So getting the companies who have followed the training, going back to them and getting a testimonial from them, okay. On the website, having their photo. I couldn't find many people on your website, for example. By people, I mean customers, if you like, who have, and saying what the training did for them. So just by going, I'm not sure how many people you've had to use the training, but just by going back to them and saying, could you provide a couple of words on the impact of the training, or how you see the training influencing your company, or whatever. If you have 20 people who've done the training and you go back to 20 people, then 10, if you're lucky, 5 or 10 will respond. Or even when you're at an event, or doing the training, make it obligatory that they need to say something. Then this way you can collect these perspectives, and you may find perspectives which you hadn't expected as well.
We do have an evaluation form. That's so after each course they are asked to fill in. So maybe we should have a look at the qualitative data that is provided, because it's mostly with a rating, statements, agree, disagree, things like that. We have to be careful with privacy. At least in the Netherlands, they are very, very picky on that. So we cannot just.
You need to add in the form. Tick here if you accept that we use this content for dissemination, and say we will contact you so the quote is okay. If you find a quote in the content that you've already got, then you need to write to them and say, can we use this on this web page, because it's fantastic.
Yeah, because I don't think, Anastasia, correct me if I'm wrong, that we analyze these data to see if we can put something on the Trustfood website. I don't think so, that we are doing this at the moment, right?
We just started collecting data. Okay. We don't have much responses yet, but the questionnaire has in the beginning a description mentioning that the data are anonymous, so we cover that aspect for GDPR, I think. But these results, of course, are going to be communicated to the granting authority, because they ask these kinds of data from the participants, along with the related task that is within the project that we need to receive feedback from the participants.
So what you could do, is change the form that you've got on the website to make it clear that you would like to use the responses for dissemination and promotion. If they can.
Yes, because so far the data will be kept within the project.
You
won't be published. Yes.
You want to publish it, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of positive things, and you want to shout about this in the last period of the project.
I will consider that point. Thank you.
Another thing you could do, sorry, really quickly, another thing you could do is a workshop like we've just done. So we did this in a project on standardization, okay? And we basically got all of the people who had, because we had the same problem, okay? We got all of the people who had contributed to this project, and we did the same type of activity, and we got loads of input and learned loads of new things, and we were able to use the quotes and all of the things that we found in this discussion to promote the services that we had. So doing that type of engagement with people who have completed your courses is a great, because you need content, I think, in this case.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a bit more easy when you do a course in person, let's say, so
Yeah.
not the online version, because several partners also translate, let's say, the materials into an online course, in a real life course. And there you can easily communicate, could you fill in this form? And because online you always have all those requirements to keep all the personal data confidential and things like that. So maybe we can see if we do online in-person courses, if we can collect some of that feedback. Okay,
I think
but thank you for your explanation
okay.
and the connection to our project. That was my question.
I think also storytelling. So one thing that we've done in this other project where we train people about standardization, so we did the training session, but we also sent, because we have a good dissemination team, but we had our photographer and filmmaker go, okay? And he did little interviews with the participants, the trainees and the trainers. And we published a booklet telling the story of the training session. And, you know, asking a trainer about the importance of it, asking the students about the benefits to them, and, you know, explaining very simply and graphically what they've done and how it's going to change, influence the student's career in this case. But, you know, it's in that case, you're telling a story about, and it would be clear to an SME what they would get if they got you to go and do physical training, or they attended a virtual training. You could do both. Okay.
In general, participants' feedback is very important, and we actually had feedback from the participants before we prepared the training material regarding the duration of the courses, what would be their interest, the level, and we created our material after this feedback. So
okay, great.
Feedback is really important, and we appreciate your ideas, Nicholas. Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Always helpful. I don't know if there are any more questions, or yes, please. Do you want to?
Yeah, I've got another one. Yeah, so another best practice is an internal best practice. Okay, this is from CyberSec Pro project, which is one of the advanced digital skills projects. Okay, now don't expect this to be implemented, but they actually developed a tracking system, the tracking software. Okay, now you may already have this with Excel sheets in terms of tracking your KPIs, but the key thing here that was interesting was that they empowered and motivated the partners. Okay, so we all know dissemination is often lands on a couple of partners in a consortium, but when you've got all of these digital innovation hubs and SME associations and organizations dotted around Europe, they're probably all disseminating about your training material, but they don't realize it, you know. So they may be on a call and they may be talking about, you know, one of the courses or something like that. And so in this way, the project made sure that all of the partners were reporting, and all of the partners were, you know, sharing what was being done to promote the content and the training courses that they had. And this meant that they were able to monitor KPIs, understand what was going on with each partner, and it really responsibilized, if that's a word, responsibilized all of the partners beyond the three that were really focusing on this work. Okay, because you know, these organizations are in your consortium for a reason, and it's at this stage of the project that they become essential. So internal management can motivate and empower these partners to be visible in doing this. So I've just got some final points. A lot of these things we've already mentioned. Things that Angelica said, things which Christian said, and things which came up in the board, which was great, because I wrote this before the meeting, apart from one of the bullets which I stole from Christian. But first thing I think was the heterogeneity of the SMEs. You know, here they're not all at the same level, not all at the same level of understanding technology, and they're not all at the same level of being ready to change and get their staff members to follow training. So they're also busy. They also have limited resources, and you have to kind of make them aware of their own needs sometimes, and the benefit that they would have of integrating the training into their business operations. It's that point that I stole from Christian, because I thought it was a really good one. How can you do this? Well, you need to build on the existing networks you've got. That's where you start, and each partner needs to be responsible. In particular, those with massive networks of SMEs. These are the people who are so hot. This is where the gold is, if you like. LinkedIn's a great way to identify new people and invite them, and it's relationship based. So it's trustworthy, if you like, because that's what the SMEs understand. They understand referrals from other people who are in the same position, because they're easier to trust and relate to as well. Because if you go back, you know, they haven't got much time, they've got not much resources, but if they hear another company of the same size, even in the same region, they're benefiting, then it becomes much more relatable to them. You on your website, you talk about reskilling, okay, which, wow, that's a big step for any company. So, you know, it's important to change mindsets. What does the technology mean for them? A lot of people are scared by new technologies, when really, you know, if you go to any commission event, you know, and they talk about artificial intelligence, it's not going to make people unemployed. It's going to enhance the way that they work, and, you know, you have your own, you're able to do your job better. So using examples of businesses who have used blockchain to make a change is essential, I think, in really translating this complex, because it's a complex technology that is difficult to understand. So it's, you know, writing these stories where there's, you know, easily relatable information, and really importantly, a photo of the person and the testimonial, or the photo of the people doing the training, and testimonials is really important, so that you highlight the human perspective. And then the other point is, you know, return on investment. So I was at a big digital innovation hub event in November in Brussels, and they asked the question, how many people having difficulty engaging with SMEs? And everybody in the room put their hand up. Everybody. And these are digital innovation hubs. Okay, and the message was that the companies need to understand what the return on investment was. They need to understand the opportunities and how the funding works. They need to get the training, okay, and then they need to have a return on investment. Now, this can be difficult, as Peter Nell mentioned, in converting this into a short-term time span. But if you can, then they'll understand that more, because they want to understand how they can make the change and how they can make the change tomorrow, and what the return on investment is in a short-term perspective, less than a long term. So yeah, so that's, I think, the main considerations, and I think they also reflect nicely a lot of the things which were highlighted in the mural board, which was really well done. So yeah, so thank you very much. I'm not sure if there are any questions, and I know we've gone over time, but I think it was a really nice exchange here.
Very nice closing recommendations, Nicholas. Thank you. I don't know if there are any questions. Please feel free. Raise your hand. No, I don't see anything. So a little bit ahead of time, apologies, but it was very interesting. I would like to give special thanks to our speakers and, of course, our participants. And thank you very much. Have a nice rest of the day.
So
Thank you.
at some point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you very
use
much.
these
Bye.
things in a way that has
Goodbye.